Here we have the Hum Audio Look Ahead Analog Limiter. Now look at that. Just take a second to look at that and just, what a beautiful piece of kit. It really is. It has this just such lovely appeal to it. When I first look at it, you know, the knobs are lovely. They feel great. The buttons are cool. I mean, they don't feel the most expensive of buttons, but they're buttons at the end of the day. The limiting and the metering looks incredible. I'll show you in the audio demos in a second what they look like, but the metering on it is beautiful. It's so precise. I really enjoy the metering. So what we have here is a look ahead analog limiter. Now you've got to understand, just by what I'm saying there, this is a look ahead analog limiter. This is what every mastering engineer has dreamed of owning for the past God knows how long. This is something special. It really is. I've been using it for a couple of days now and it sounds unbelievable. You're going to see in a sec what it sounds like, but I'm not even kind of over exaggerating here. This is the limiter to own. It honestly is the best limiter you will ever hear. It's subtle, but visually, and go watch my Fab Filter versus the Hum Audio LAAL, because you can visually see how it destroys Fab Filter, and you can audibly hear how it destroys it too. So it is one of the most simplest boxes you will ever use. You have input. You adjust the input gain, so you get gain reduction. You adjust the output gain, generally speaking, you go +8, you go -8. You adjust the output gain to adjust your output. You then have a release which has 2 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds, 10, 20, 50 and 100. So you can set your milliseconds on your release. Then you have at the bottom a input and output trim, which is basically +1 dB, -1 dB, so you can get it a bit more accurate. Now the fun part, because in the center here, which is a lovely feature that didn't have to be on there, but it's a very welcome feature, is basically the stereo width. And the stereo width is good because when we build it into a limiter, limiters are at the end of our chain. Now the stereo width is such a musical stereo width. You just literally switch it on and turn it up to whatever you want to turn it up, from 1 to 6. When you do start, 6 is too much, I'll tell you now. 6 is way too much. But a sweet spot's around 2 or 3 on most mastering tracks. When you turn it on and turn it up, now because of the position, it being at the end of the chain, you can finish your master. You're at the final stage of your master, and then you can go, right, I'm limiting and I'm going to give it a lovely width. And you could do that at the end of the chain rather than doing it right back here in mid-side, or using some sort of stereo widening. That is a very, very good feature, and it wasn't something that I expected to see, to be honest. Then we have as well, we have the peak hold, which is just basically it's showing you your peak hold. That's always good to have on. The dynamic transients, that's just something that should always generally stay on. And what I will do is I'll actually go back through these and read you what's written in the manual, because obviously the people that write these manuals have gone into a lot more detail than I actually know. Then you've got the transformer. You can basically switch in the transformer, and then you have bypass. Now the bypasses are really cool, because what's good about it is and I really like this feature, because what they've done is they've thought about it. Now most probably what's happened is there's been beta testing and people have tested it and gone, do you know what, I'd really like to be able to just bypass the limiter section. So I'd really like to bypass the limiter and use the transformers and use the stereo widener. And they've gone, right, wicked. What we can do, we've got bypass, which bypasses the whole unit. Then we have bypass the limiter. So then we just bypass the limiter, and what we can also do is audition the limiting on and off with all the stereo width added, with the transformer added, all these sorts of things added. So we are physically only bypassing the limiting, which is really cool, and I love that feature. So what I'll do is I'll quickly read some of the bits in the manual that are important to know. Now, regarding the manual, dynamic transients, an extraordinary and absolutely unique feature of our limiter. This function is responsible for regenerating transients proportionally to the limiting level. It plays a major role in preserving space and detail in your sound as you intend. Now, that to me is music to my ears. Transformer activates interstage high-end audio transformers, adds subtle warmth and body. Now this is another one that I actually really liked. The detect link left and right activates stereo linking for limiter detection circuits. Now what I gathered from that was that what was happening was when I had what is it called, detect link left and right on, when I had it off, what was happening was we was getting the gain reduction seemed to be kind of if there was gain reduction on the right hand side more, it would you know, if there's a ride for instance that's being limited and it's panned to the right, the gain reduction was hitting more on the right, whereas when that was on, it seemed like when that was hitting, the whole left and right was linked, basically going together, which was really cool. And I love the fact that we have that option. Feature summary. So we have all discrete audio signal path, very high headroom, plus minus 24 volt, highest quality audio transformers, ultra stable linear power supply, thermal compensation for the ultra precise detection circuit, analog look ahead circuit, 0.2 millisecond analog delay line, variable stereo width function, dynamic transient function, variable release time, precise LED metering, 0.2 dB steps, precise input output settings, 0.2 dB steps, peak hold function for gain reduction meters, rotary step switch for all knobs, stereo link for detection, limiter bypass, hard bypass, custom made shielded AC cord. So before we go and dive into the audio examples, I wanted to give you my verdict. And look, I'm always honest with equipment. I'm always honest. I'm probably one of the most honest people on YouTube doing these reviews. And I will be honest with you, when I saw the price at 8,800, I looked at it and I went, yeah, all right, this has really got to impress me to buy one. It has literally got to blow my socks off to buy one. And it did, and I bought two because they are that good. So I bought one for this room and I bought one for my other mastering studio. And I'll tell you, honestly, it really is something else. And it is one of these limiters. It's subtle, and you might not actually, when you listen to these audio demos, you might not hear a massive difference. You might go, what, you're paying $9 for that? What are you paying $9 for that? But trust me, it's not just about what you can hear in these audio demos. It's also about how much dynamics we are still retaining after the limiting. Now I can look at a waveform that was mastered through, let's say, FabFilter L2, for instance. Now I can look at a waveform that's mastered through that, and I see a brick wall. I see it's flat, you know, and I've got let's say for argument's sake, I've got -9 LUFS, and it is brick wall like that. And I look at it, and you know, that's how it always has looked. You know, that's what we've come to get used to. Not anymore. Using the look ahead limiter, we now get that same LUFS, so we're still hitting -9 LUFS, But the difference is there's none of that. It don't look square. It looks fully dynamic. I mean, I am talking literally fully dynamic. It looks, as a waveform, incredible. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up on this video now, I'm going to bring up two screenshots of one of an L2 master that is brick wall, and one of the same track that's run through the look ahead limiter, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So the difference there is not just how much louder we can get it, how much limited we can get it, it's how much dynamics we retain. And I have not seen this from anything else. There is not a single limiter that I've ever used that looks like this. This is the first and only limiter that I will say looks like this that I've experienced. You know, and I've experienced a lot of limiters. That you will not achieve what has been achieved using this look ahead limiter. What has been achieved using that cannot and will not be achieved in the box. Now, I'll be really interested when Plug-in Alliance bring out the plug-in version of this, because I can guarantee you, and I really do think this, you will not physically be able to achieve this in a plug-in. And I'll be really impressed if Plug-in Alliance do emulate what you can achieve visually with this limiter, if it can look the same, because it is so impressive. So yeah, let's go in and run some audio through the look ahead analog limiter, and trust me, I really do hope you are as impressed as I am. And do let me know in the comments of what you think of this limiter. Many of you probably won't be able to hear it, but that's not a bad thing, because you can't hear it. That means that we are getting limiting of like 5-6 dB of limiting, right? There's 5-6 dB of gain reduction there, and you can't hear it. That's incredible.